My earliest memories are of Kaingaroa. It was a safe, happy place to live. Mum used to sit in this chair in front of the coal range at night, reading, with her feet in the oven. That sound that helps you go to sleep was the oven trays banging under her feet. Must have been very cold, but I don't remember being uncomfortably cold. We were well looked after. And with older brothers, I was always on the margin of their activities. They let me hang out with them sometimes and let me be the dead Indian in the woodshed. I read the books that they liked to read. Last of the Mohicans and Jack London's books. Last of the Mohicans was thrilling, it was so violent. I liked school. I did very well at English and was hopeless at maths. I didn't understand I could have a career as a writer. I saw the careers advisor and she must have set up a job in an accountant's office, and I was totally unsuited for it, but coming last in maths. I didn't have to buy books, I don't think, because Mum had her bookshop and a little lending library in there. And that's probably where I started to read the Mills and Boon romance books. My dad wrote a little book to do with fixing engines. Harry Danzy, my mother's cousin, was a well-known writer. So writing's been around me all the time. There was some years I didn't write at all after being married and having the children. And then I just began to start writing a little bit again. I don't know what impelled me to write this short story called Swimming to Motiti. I used to get the Women's Weekly, so probably they just said there's a competition. And I entered that and I won that competition. And that probably was really what boosted me into thinking a bit more about writing. So I had short stories published in magazines from the Australian Woman's Day to the New Zealand Dairy Farmer. And in that time, I thought that I could write a Mills and Boon type romance. I don't say that because I thought it was easy. I say that because I had read enough of them to feel I knew that I could try writing one. Got really good feedback, but they weren't quite what Mills and Boon were looking for. And it was through that time I decided to start the New Zealand Pig Hunters magazine. It just came to me that my husband was a mad keen pig hunter. There was nothing specifically targeted towards pig hunters. I had no way of distributing it, so I just got on the phone and rang bookshops and places all over the country. And they were very receptive. It was wonderful. You can't do that now. We sold the magazine in, I think, 99, and it's still going. So I feel quite proud of that. 30 years of a magazine going is pretty good these days. It just came to me as an idea. Wouldn't it be good if children today could read what childhood was like in much earlier times? And I selected people who had been born before 1920. Sometimes I might call a rest home or people I knew. And they were distributed through into primary schools and they were part of the curriculum for a while. And I love doing that. I love talking to those people. I like old people. Now I am one. I joined the New Zealand Romance Writers, which is a wonderful organisation, and they are very businesslike. I submitted another finished manuscript to Mills and Boon and they still didn't take it, but by that time digital publishing was happening, and I submitted it to an e-publisher and they accepted it. Digital publishing virtually made any word count acceptable, so I wrote a 12,000 word romance set in the Regency era, which is 1810 to 1820. And that little book sold really well as an e-book, and it still sells well. That's my focus now, is writing Regency romance. Likened to kind of the 60s when they were a time of great change. It was a very mannered time, and I think a colourful time. And there's stories of men and women who fall in love and who overcome obstacles so that they can have a life together. No matter how much I tell myself no one's going to die, I think someone always dies in my books. I like writing them and I like the research. In writing them, actually, the research and my notes led to me writing a book called Tips for Writing the Regency Romance as well. I'm very undisciplined when it comes to writing, to be honest. I'm trying to improve. Honestly, it can take me years. I can't afford to have years now, so I'm looking at, say, 2 in a year of 60,000-ish words. I don't think they're particularly raunchy. It's not graphic sex, it's not violent sex, it's sex between two people who care about each other and desire each other. Sometimes people snigger and give you a dig in the side about the sex scenes, but like I say, Lee Child, people read his books without thinking he's out there shooting people. It's just part of being a writer, thinking your way through things like a puzzle.